Well, little technical problems, that's part of our lives, and but you know what? Making the most of your clinic appointments. I've learned so much about technology. I've learned so much about relationships, and it's really good to refresh ourselves. And how do we maximize? How do we learn? I was just listening at the American Heart Association meeting, and they did this in tremendous program online through Zoom, through Webex, through different ways of doing things. And I was really impressed, and I can go back and look at things. So what we're going to do is, how do we make you more involved in your health? How do you understand how to better interact with people like myself? And I'm going to show you how our clinic works the best with you involvement right now. So this is your success, and take it away, Stuart. Let's get to the next slide. What do you want to show us?
Okay, so hi everyone, happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've put together a little patient guide to success to help you navigate your appointments and get the most out of them. So Stuart's just going to go over some brief housekeeping, but we've also got some clinic updates. We will go over some strategies to improve your appointments with blood work, medications, and measuring your vital signs. We will also go over what to expect with the new phone call appointments happening in a consult, and we'll end with some SMART goal setting.
Perfect. Thank you, Zoya. As she alluded to, a few things for those joining us on Webex and those joining us on YouTube. I'm going to jump to the next slide here, and it's going to show us how we are using our webinar software. So if you look across the bottom panel or the side panel, you should be able to see some buttons. This is an indication of your mic being off. If you ever want to turn it on and speak with us, all you have to do is click the button and we'll be able to hear you. Then you can ask your questions at any point in the presentation. We'll be able to address them for you. If you want to share your video, because we love seeing you, and you're more than welcome to do that. All you have to do is click this camera notification right here. And you can always chat as well. So I'm constantly monitoring the chat function. If you have any questions and you want to just type it out, please feel free to do so, and we'll get to it as well.
So I like to see people's faces if they can, and so if you want to put your faces on there, I'd love to. And if you're eating dinner, that's even better if I can see what you're actually eating. I know I'm going to get my dinner in a few minutes.
Yeah. And for those joining us on YouTube, apologies for the technical glitch at the beginning, but now that we're up and at 'em, you'll be able to see a little chat function on the sidebar. There you can ask any questions you have, and I'll be able to address them as well. I'll be constantly monitoring throughout the entire presentation today. Now, before we go on to what we want to talk about today, I think it's important to discuss first a note on missing your appointments. Zoya, did you want to take this away?
Yeah, so at the clinic, we definitely understand, especially with everything going on, that it might be very challenging for you to attend your appointments because things are coming up. But we do ask that you give us at least 3 business days notice in advance if you need to cancel your appointment to avoid a cancellation fee. And of course, if you do have to pay the cancellation fee, this money is going to a charitable cause or a project that's going to help improve people's health. But we'd greatly appreciate it if you could let us know in advance if you can't attend, because we reserve this time for your care. And if appointments are missed, then it's sort of taken away from time we could be caring for other patients as well. So just let us know if things come up, and we can definitely reschedule you. So Dr. Curnew wants everyone to think of him as a repairman. So you can expect a call from him within a certain window of time. It might be at 4, it might be at 7, but he will definitely call you back, so don't worry. Everyone is family, and he's definitely going to work you in the schedule. And while you're waiting on the phone call, feel free to ask students how to access YouTube videos and how to get on Zoom so that we can help you with that. And students can definitely recommend webinars on prevention on our YouTube channel that you can watch while you're waiting, so that you can ask your questions to Dr. Curnew when he gives you a call.
This is actually quite important, is that the science tells us that you are going to remember about 10 to 20% of what is said at any doctor's appointment. And so for you to improve on that, you need to be part of an active participant. So the team has put together some wonderful information packages from everything you can think of, from diabetes to smoking to heart disease to medications, lifestyle changes. take advantage of it. They're well put together. Yes, they're long because science takes time to understand, and we want you to profit from this. So when we're talking about cholesterol, I want you to come with a position of information so that you know about your cholesterol. So we have a webinar on cholesterol. If you have genetics, you have another on genetics. If you have diabetes, we have about 10 videos on diabetes. It goes on and on. So much good information, and I love to see people who are actively involved in their health so I can help you. I'm trying to become better at what I do. I'm reading all the time, and I'm going to share that with you. So I want you to learn about good things about science, and we'll share that with you. So my plea is that this is a great time to learn, and it's a good time to learn about true science and what's really important. So love to share that with you. And while you're waiting, pick a subject that's dear to your heart so we can have a longer conversation and a more informed conversation. Thank you.
So while you're waiting, you might expect a volunteer to say you should expect a call from doctor sometime shortly. Then they'll be able to say, well, we've noticed that you've had some concerns with your blood pressure. Why don't you consider watching one of our fantastic YouTube videos on blood pressure management? To which, of course, the obvious response will be a big happy smile from you. You'll see on our YouTube page that we've done a really good job organizing it so it's as easy for you as possible to navigate. Now, you'll see on the home page whenever you go onto YouTube that there's so many different categories of videos. Here's just an example right here. You'll see that we have a series of pre-recorded videos, and we also have a series of our live feature, which is what we're doing right now. And there's so many different topics, from diabetes management, congestive heart failure, hypertension, for example. All you have to do is click on the video of interest, and you'll be directed directly to that video. You'll also be able to see all of the videos that we have in that series because we have so many different videos covering different parts of each topic. So really, Dr. Curnew likes to call this medical school for his patients. I think that's a great analogy. Here you can find anything that's important to you, and that way you can come to your visit with a number of questions that we can help you answer, so that you can leave your appointment satisfied knowing that all of your questions have been answered and you feel comfortable and confident that you can really manage your health on your own or with our team.
So as you know, the healthcare system is in crisis. It will continue to be in crisis, and to me, knowledge is powerful. So be patient. I'm going to try and make it a priority to see the sickest people first. There's going to be some in the office, some by phone, and some are going to call at different points of time. So I'm like the repair guy that comes around, is that I'm giving you a range. And when someone says minutes, that's doctor minutes. So that could be hours. And I'm sorry about that, but I need to help as many people who are in need at this point in time. When we schedule a test for you, those tests are scheduled at a specific time. There's nobody else there. When the front desk books people to be contacted, they could be just out of the hospital, something bad's happened to them. I will do my best to answer as many as I can. I'm working usually from about 7 to 9 most days. I'm not complaining about it. I'm going to get to you. So use this time to learn. And so if you want to get my attention, you get my attention by coming with a position of knowledge and information. We have this to help you with. And I really want to make a difference. And these young minds that are working with me, they're fantastic. They've enriched this clinic. They enrich you every day. Take advantage of their knowledge. They taught me a lot. And so I'm really proud of what they've done. And that's why I think I like Fridays the most. I see these young people taking over the world, doing such a good job, and it's nice to be a part of that. So become a part of that and get your family to be a part of that as well. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Doctor. Before we move on to our presentation today, a quick overview of our YouTube page. You'll see right here that all you have to do on the internet is type in www.youtube.com. You can find us by typing in Dr. Curnew or Greg Curnew into the bar. And then you'll find over 161 videos that we have available to you on many different topics. And you'll see right here, these are just a few of the many. All you got to do is scroll the home screen and you'll be able to see all of the different video series we have. And stay tuned because we're constantly adding to them all the time. Here's just an example of some of the recent videos we've done. We've done one on prescription renewals and medications. We've done one on breathing easy, breathing better. We've also done a new series, What's on Dr. Curnew's Mind, where we've talked about how to better prepare for your appointment, how to keep a better journal, how alcohol affects the heart, and a number of different topics that are really relevant to your own health. We've also divided up all of the recent videos, including this one, into chapters. So whenever you click on a video, you'll see on the progress bar that each section is divided up into a mini topic. So if something is really important to you, really pressing, all you have to do is find that on the taskbar, and you'll be able to click on it, and you'll see that information right away. So this way you know what we're talking about when we're talking about it in the video. It's a really cool feature that YouTube has integrated into its YouTube page. It's been really helpful for these long videos that we do. So you can find the information that's most important to you. But of course, all the information is really important. So we recommend you watching all of the video. Here is also some of the recent videos we've done. We've done one on shortness of breath. So if you have causes for concern, if you're feeling like you're not getting enough breath, here's a great video where we talk about shortness of breath, COPD, some really helpful exercises for how you can get a better breath, and also some resources that are available to you. We also recently posted a video on congestive heart failure. This was part 2 of a 3-part series that we're going to be doing. In this video, we talk about the different types of congestive heart failure, the number of tests that you can take to determine if you have congestive heart failure. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about lifestyle changes and management, to which Dr. Curnew will be joining us for that video. So it's a really great series, and you can find the link to this video in the description, so it's very easy for you to access. Another thing as well, we have our YouTube page, sorry, not our YouTube page, our website back up. So we were off the internet for a little bit. Our site was not working, but Roy has been able to help us get a website back up there. This is what it currently looks like. You can see that it has a home screen, it has a section for handouts, videos, and information so that if you need to contact us, you are absolutely able to do so. You can find this website at www.drcurnew.com. And here's a couple images of what the website currently looks like. And we want to give a huge thank you to Roy, who is one of our patients here, who was so incredible and instrumental in helping us get this website up. So now you're more than welcome to check it out and see all of the cool features and things that we're doing at the clinic.
So I want to thank Roy and Sonia and some other people to make our website possible. And you can see we're going to have some errors along the way, and it's like anything, it's a team approach. And so I'm really proud of everybody working together on this. And it's something really important to realize that I'm not computer smart. I'm becoming computer better because lots of people around me help me. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Sonia is calling from British Columbia, and she will help you navigate the internet, Zoom, how to create an email if you want to. This technology is here to stay, and I never thought when I started this would be such an important part of health at this point in time. It's also an important part of deception, and so you have to learn how to use this wealth to improve your health. I hope the stuff that we provide provides some perspective in a friendly fashion, and so we'll keep working on this. But to me, we can only do this because of a great team of people involved, and I can't thank them all enough. And please take advantage of the things that we're posting here. They're important, and they're changing, and we'll keep you up to date as best we can.
As promised by Zoya, we're going to begin this presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about Mr. Greg Curnew, the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad patient. All right. So this is a little bit of a fun case study that we wanted to show you. This is what our software currently looks like. This is a sample page of Dr. Curnew, or not Dr. Curnew, Greg Curnew, the patient of Dr. Curnew. So you can see right here that there's a number of problems with his chart. For one, there's no health card information, and that's a serious concern. There's also no information on his physician team, who his family doctor is, how he can get in touch with them, who referred him here, what was the reason for the first visit. This is important information for us to know, because with this knowledge, we build up. So from the first consult, we want to know what the main concern was why you were here in the first place, and how we can help you. So whenever you come into your first visit, we want to know what your family physician is and who the physician that referred to you was. You can also see right here that there's no phone number and there's no email address. This is a serious concern because right now we are pretty much entirely digital. It's very hard to get into contact with you when we don't have your phone number or your email address. Right now, I would say about 85% of our patients are calling in from the phone, and so we need to know what your phone number is, when you're going to be available, and if your phone number ever changes or if you ever move, please contact the main office so that we can update your chart and make sure that we can get in touch with you at all times. It's also important for us these days to have your email address. We'll get into this a little bit later, but we're using a system called Medio, which helps us email to you lab requisition forms so that you can print these out, take them to Dynacare or Life Labs to get your blood work done before your next appointment. It's just another way that we're working around this pandemic to make your life a little bit easier and also keep you safe. You can also see right here, no pharmacy. That's an issue because we need to be able to fax to your pharmacy any refills that you need on your medications. So we need to also know what your pharmacy is, and if you ever change your pharmacy, it's important for us to let you know, let us know. As you can see right here, without any of this information, we're very limited in how we can help Mr. Greg Curnew over here. You'll also see right here that Mr. Greg Curnew isn't the easiest patient to work with at times. You can see in his notes that he doesn't get blood work done and he doesn't remember his medications list. He's hard to reach over the phone and he's not too interested in lifestyle changes at this time. You can see right here that one of his notes says that he's canceling appointments last minute. And this is a concern because we need to be able to know whenever you can't come in so that we can schedule another patient who may need that time. So you can see right here that Mr. Greg Curnew could do a few things differently to make sure that we can help him in the best possible way. You'll see right here as well, this is just another example of some of the concerns with his chart. He is not returning his phone calls, which means that we can't get in touch with him and we can't get him the medications he needs at the right time. So this is just a whole thing altogether showing that Mr. Greg Curnew is a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad patient. But it doesn't have to be permanent. We can always take steps to make sure that we can become a better patient, and it's very simple. First and foremost, we want to have all that information that we shared earlier, your email, your phone number, all this information so that we can get in touch with you.
So Stuart, just go back to that first page there about basic information. Just something very important is that you all have a unique number, and that's your healthcare number. So the healthcare number allows people like any physician who's involved in your care to try to find information like lab results through something called OLIS. So we can actually go back with your healthcare number and other information about you and find blood work that was done maybe by somebody else. Now, your healthcare card in Ontario is valid for 5 years. You're responsible, like your driver's license, to make sure it's up to date. Without a valid healthcare card and the actual 2-digit numbers at the end of it, your card's no good. So that means you become responsible for the payment of all your health services. And that's ridiculous. You're entitled to healthcare. And so basically, get your card up to date and keep it up to date because the lab can't get paid, physicians can't get paid, the hospital can't get paid. So get that information done. Also, if there's somebody else in your family that you want to be contacted, say you're having trouble with your hearing, you can't hear, you have a language issue, let us know that we're going to be contacting your sister and your sister's cell phone or your daughter or some other family member that's involved in this. This world's gone digital, so if you don't have an email address, maybe somebody in your family has an email address where we can actually send you requisition forms. Because right now we try to send requisition forms by mail or by fax. They get lost along the way. So this gives you a copy. And once you have a copy of your a lab requisition form, you can get blood work done anytime you want to. But of course, you have to let me know, my office know that you had blood work so we can review that with you. For pharmacies, we use the address of the pharmacy. So it's important on your pill bottle that you know the address of the pharmacy. So we'll actually fax your prescriptions directly to the pharmacy so it makes it more convenient for you. So these are new features that are very important for you to to be aware of. There have been times where I get an emergency call at 2 o'clock in the morning that you have a dangerously high potassium at 6.2 that's fatal. I'll wake you up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but there have been times, I woke up the wrong person because people changed their phone numbers, or the phone that they'd given before has been disconnected. So there's just no way of getting a hold of you in an emergency situation. So please, 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 if you move, you change your phone number, let us know so we can help you. So these are really vital pieces of information that really adds to your care. They're so simple, but they're important.
So here's a bit of an interaction that you might expect from Mr. Greg Curnew, the patient. So the patient, Curnew, might say, "Doctor, my goal is to live to 120. To which Dr. Curnew will say, "Well, with a balanced and healthy lifestyle, appropriate medications, and great social support," which is oftentimes the #1 thing, "I think anyone can do it." And that's also interesting as well because, Dr. Curnew, you can attest to this. There was a study of a woman who lived up to 120. So the body, with everything done right, has the potential to live up to 120. So maybe this goal might be realistic with the right lifestyle and the right balance of social support in your diet. To which the patient will say, "Well, what's holding me back?" And the thing is, well, without a good chart, there's only so much I can do to help you. So as Doctor said, there's so many different things that we need to know so that we can get in touch with you, so that we can make sure that we're balancing your health to the best of our abilities. So as we mentioned, if there's any changes to your phone number, any changes to your pharmacy address, if you don't have an email address, we definitely recommend you having someone help you make one and sharing it with us so that we can get you lab requisition forms. And always, if you have to update your health card, please let us know of the changes to the last 2 digits of your health card so that we can make sure that a lot of this money won't be coming out of pocket. The patient will then say, "Okay, well, I'll be sure to update you on anything that changes," to which Dr. Curnew will say, "Fantastic, thank you." Also, have you heard of the Shadok stairs? Dr. Curnew, as you know, I'm not sure if you're doing this after the clinic tonight, but Dr. Curnew likes to go on a walk or a brisk run up the Shadok stairs as his workouts on Friday nights. And he'll ask you to join him some nights as well with a social distance exercise on the Shadok stairs. Now, the main takeaway from all of this is that Dr. Curnew, all of us volunteers, secretary, staff, everybody who's working underneath Dr. Curnew, we're all here to help you reach your goals. And to do this, we need to know some of the basic information first. So please let us know if anything changes. Next, I'm going to pass it over to, I believe, Sanya, who's going to be talking about, well, how can this patient Curnew make his experience better at the clinic?
Okay, thanks, Stuart. So yeah, we'll be discussing how you can be a little bit better than patient Curnew and actually make your experience a lot better, and we'll go into that guide of success now. So there's a couple things that you should think about before you are coming in to see us, and we've got some of those listed here. So you can see the patient in the middle, but the first thing is you want to check that you have your updated medications list. So a lot of the times we hear patients say that, well, my list hasn't changed, I don't need to bring it in. But majority of the times, actually, some things have changed, and we need to be able to update it with the correct dosage and the correct name of your medication and how often you take it. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but not having an updated medications list can be very fatal, and it's really important that you do bring your list every single time, even if you are certain that it hasn't changed. The other thing that you want to check is if you have your blood work done. So like was mentioned before, you'll get a requisition form, and you want to make sure that you have that blood work completed prior to your appointment. We'll discuss a little bit later on in this presentation on how to actually access your blood work online as well. And you also want to reflect a little bit about how you've been doing in the past couple of weeks or whenever your last appointment was, and think about if you have any questions for Dr. Curnew. So you can bring a little notebook in, and you can write your questions beforehand, and you can ask those during your appointment. And if you're not sure at the moment, you can also bring in other family or other friends or some of your close support who can maybe think of some questions for you while you're in clinic. The next thing you want to think about are other health documents. So we talked about updated medications list and your blood work, but if we've asked you to have a blood pressure log, you want to bring that in as well. Just anything that will help us get a better understanding of how you've been doing and identify any common trends. And finally, like Stuart and Dr. Curnew have already explained, you want to make sure that the office has your most recent phone number, address, physician, and updated health card. So at the front desk, please make sure that you notify us of any changes if there are any.
So it's kind of interesting that sometimes people will chat away, and but if there's certain things that you want to make sure that you had done, if you had like a nuclear medicine study done at the Hamilton General Hospital, just say, I want to review my nuclear medicine study done. And I'm amazed that there are many times people were being hospitalized, and they don't tell us we're being hospitalized until till the appointment's over. So that's kind of and you assume that I know everything. What I'll say is no news is no news. So these are the things that are important. I was hospitalized for a heart attack in October. I had a nuclear medicine study done in Simcoe in April. I had a CAT scan done, such and such in place. Make that part of your checklist to make sure you want to get that done and dealt with. So some of the things I don't know enough about to answer, I'll tell you. I have an opinion on lots of things, but and the ones I can help you with, I'd be glad to. But just bring that right at the beginning, not at the end.
Absolutely, great point. And then moving along, just looking at a little bit of your demographic information. So you can see on the slide here what it looks like from our end. But like we mentioned before with that patient Curnew, you didn't have a lot of this information filled in. You want to make sure that your chart does have this information. So your chart should have your full name, you should have your date of birth, updated health card, your physician, your personal address, phone number, and you can provide multiple if there are multiple ways to reach you, your email address, as well as your pharmacy address. And we'll break this down a little bit further in the next few slides as well.
Now, if you wear glasses if you want to read something. If you have medications, have your bottles in front of you. Have everything prepared. You don't measure your blood pressure during the doctor visit. You measure it in a quiet, relaxed place before the visit. So let's do it right.
Absolutely. So yeah, one of the first things we've mentioned is to really make sure that your health card is up to date. So Dr. Curnew explained how a lot of different individuals involved in your care, from physicians to pharmacists, really need this health card in order to access your full medical history and to provide the right services to you. So if you've recently received a new health card, please do make sure that you let the front desk know so that we can update the expiry date on our end and in the chart as well.
So your healthcare card will have 2 letters at the end. You have a 10-digit healthcare card. That's yours, digits forever. We call the version code. Those 2 letters change every 5 years.
And then you also want to make sure, like I said, to have your blood work completed prior to your scheduled appointment. So whenever Dr. Curnew does want you to have blood work completed, he will give you a requisition form. So when you do get that, and make sure you keep that requisition form safe, and you can even make multiple copies if you would like. And you can call our office in advance if you don't have that requisition. And we'll be talking a little bit about how that's transitioning into Medio as well. But do make sure that this is completed before your scheduled appointment so that we have the full picture of how you've been doing in the recent time.
And make sure the form that you got is your name on it. Let's say I made a mistake. I gave the wrong form. We're all going to make mistakes over here, so always check. So to me is that I don't think I want to blame anybody. I just don't want to make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. So I'm just saying this is how we can actually work better together, and really important.
Yeah, and one last thing I'll add actually about the blood work is make sure you aren't hesitating to ask any questions. For example, if you're unsure on what exactly the form is saying, usually the form will have the little check boxes that you can kind of see on the slide about what it is that we actually want you to get tested for. So just make sure that the information such as your name and your birthday and everything is correct, and don't hesitate to ask any questions if you would like as well.
The other interesting thing too is some people have a thyroid condition, so you need to add TSH to that. Some people are anemic, you need to have a CBC to that. Some people want a PSA level. I don't know how to interpret a PSA level. I'll add that to you, but I can't give that interpretation. So it's really important, like if you have gout, you want to know the uric acid. So make sure we discuss what tests we need to add on or take away. Really important. So let's work together on it.
Exactly. And moving along, we also do need your email address. So as we've mentioned before, we're really transitioning into these phone call appointments. So your email address is very important to us because through that we can send you any important health documents, and you can regularly check that for any communication from us. Now, a lot of times patients will say that they don't have an email address. Well, lucky for you, we have lots of support here that we can actually help you create an email address if you don't have one already. So there's a YouTube video on our channel, and there it'll tell you how to make a simple Gmail account. And myself or the other tech team is also here to help you if you need any one-on-one guidance with that as well. But if you have one already, please do make sure that you are updating us with that.
I have to give a special thanks to Sonia, who's really done a lot at helping in technology. She's an amazing individual that's been so helpful of creating these videos and helping people, and people like myself. I'm a schmuck. I'm learning a lot. I'm going to become a better patient. Sonia and her team will help. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask.
Absolutely. We're all here to help you. So yeah. And like we mentioned, so we need your email so that we can actually send you the blood work forms before your next appointment. And so that's important because you want that blood work completed before you're coming in. So please let us know when you are using it to get blood work, and then we can email that over to you. And we can also send that through Medio as well. And a lot of times patients are interested in knowing how to access their blood work online, which is actually a great step for you to really understand what the results were and how you can better interpret them. So DynaCare and LifeLabs are two platforms that you can use to actually look at your blood results after you've done the testing, or to even book an appointment when you go in to get the test done. So we can go over those as well. So the technology team has actually made a video on how to access your LifeLab results online, and we've got a DynaCare one that's right in the works, so you should see that up and about soon. But we really recommend you to watch this video. It's very, very short. It's about 10 minutes long, but it really walks you through step by step on how you can go about making a LifeLabs account, accessing your results, and then even using it to book your appointment. And we'll go a little bit through that right now. So the first thing you notice is you want to go on to www.lifelabs.com, and you can do this either on your phone or a laptop or a computer. And you want to click the button labeled Find a Location, which is in the top left region of the screen, and you can kind of see it here on the slide as well. When you click that, Find a Location, you'll be taken to a page on the right. So you can see that it's listed near locations to you, and it'll ask you to enter in your address, your city, and your postal code in the search bar, and you can just simply click Find. So what that'll do is it'll locate where you are, and it'll show you all the nearby locations. And you can also even check the boxes before clicking Find if you have specific preferences for what you would like your location to offer, because each LifeLab location does have different services. So if you've got a special test and you're not sure if your location has that, you can read through those boxes as well. And once you click that Find button, the website will show you a map with nearby locations, and it'll highlight that for you. So once you've found the location and you want to go in and actually check your results after your test, you'll notice that you can simply hit the See My Results red button at the top right-hand corner there. And what that'll do is it'll take you to a page that looks like this, and it'll give you two options. So the first option is to register now. So that's if you wanted to register. If you don't already have a LifeLabs account, that option lets you sign up for a LifeLabs account and then see your results. And the other option in red over there says Sign In. So that's the option you would click if you already have an existing LifeLabs account. So depending on your need, you can choose which one. But assuming that you are doing this for the first time, we're going to show you how to register. So you would click that Register Now button there. And then we'll walk you through the process of registering. So one important note before you actually go on to the registration form is you really need to make sure that your lab visit information you're entering is matching exactly the information on the file with the lab. And this is because they really use that to check and make sure that the results they're giving are truly your results. And the second point is that if your lab test was not done at Life Labs, or if you only had a cardiac testing or a medical imaging test, you can actually create a My Results account. So it won't actually sync those results with Life Labs. So that's just something to keep in mind. You want to make sure that your blood work was indeed done at a Life Labs location and not a different lab location. If you're unsure about this, you can always talk to your healthcare provider and they can help you figure that out as well. And like I said before, Life Labs can also be used to book an appointment. So if you need a test, you can go onto their website, lifelabs.com. You simply have to press book an appointment, and similar pages will pop up that we saw before, the sign-in page or the register page. And depending on if you have an account or not, you would choose the appropriate option. And you would just simply press book an appointment and click find a location near you, and follow the instructions from there. So it's very simple. The Life Labs website has made it quite accessible for you to do all of this, so I really encourage you to try this out afterwards. And once you've booked your appointment, a couple of things to keep in mind as to what you would actually bring to your Life Labs appointment. So they do require a requisition form, which we've discussed before is the form that Dr. Curnew or your other healthcare provider will give to you. And you want to make sure, again, that the information is fully checked beforehand and everything is fine. And the next thing is your valid healthcare card. So most routine tests are usually covered under your health insurance, but in the case that they're not, they will need that information for you. And of course, to send your results over to your different healthcare providers, your health card is very important there. And you'll also need to bring in some identification. So you have to confirm your health insurance card, your full name, and your date of birth, along with your address once you're at the Life Labs location and you're getting ready to check in. And another cool feature that Life Labs have is that you can actually check in online. So instead of going into the Life Labs location and a lot of times there's a long wait time, so you can skip that and check in online, which is really, really neat as well. So once you get to the home page, they've got a check in online button at the top there, so you would just click that. And it'll take you to a little page that looks like this. So this is the app version, but it's a very similar page that shows up on the computer as well. But essentially you'll enter in your personal information and it'll actually tell you the wait time. So on the screen it says estimated wait time 0 minutes, in which case it's your lucky day, you can go right on in. But usually it'll say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. And essentially what you would do is you would click check in when you're done. And by doing so, Life Labs is kind of saving your spot there, and you don't have to actually do that check-in procedure when you go in person. So you can kind of relax at home until you see that you're getting close to the time up, and then you can go and head into your Life Labs location. And once you do receive your lab results online and you're able to access them with the steps we talked about, it's really important to keep in mind what the emergency values are. So it's good to be familiar with what the different values actually mean and what they're telling you about the functions of your body and the reference ranges that you should be watching out for. So we've got a couple of them listed here, but a couple that I will go through. For example, sodium will usually be related to your blood pressure, so that's a good one to watch out for. Other ones include lipids or triglycerides, which have implications with heart disease or pancreatitis. And we've got a couple others listed here, and you can see the reference ranges as well. So essentially the point of this chart is you want to keep this handy. Because if you have measurements that are outside of these ranges, you really do need to give us a call, as that indicates that something is not quite right and we need to address it right away. So for example, for sodium, the reference range is 130 to 145. So if you see a number that's outside this range, please give us a call and we can see what that really tells us about your blood pressure, for example.
So that's kind of an important thing. First of all, I want people to have dinner and say, I'm having my salad right now. So one of the things that people worry about, the muscle enzyme called CK is elevated. Normal is about 300. I don't get worried to over 1,000 to 2,000. I just know that one mistake over here. So ferritin is a marker for iron stores. It should be if you're iron deficient, your ferritin will be less than 100 or less than 200 in some circumstances. So I always catch an error there. So I always pick up something along the way. So Again, I want my LDL cholesterol close to zero. I want basically, it's a lousy cholesterol. I want to work on that. So these are some numbers that we use along the way. And thank you for sharing that. Have a salad, everybody.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'll mention here is your pharmacy contact information. So it's really important that you give us the exact address and the full contact information for your pharmacy, because whenever we receive that prescription renewal or want to discuss anything about your medications, we'll be able to get in touch with them. So that also includes a phone number as well as a fax number there. So that's just some tips, and I'll hand it over to Praveen now to talk a little bit about measuring blood pressure and some other topics as well.
So there's one more lab value that I forgot to put in there. One is potassium level. So you want your potassium somewhere in the 4 range. If it's less than 3, that could be emergency. Over 5.5 to over 6, that's an emergency too as well. So these are some of the values we look at. There's a whole bunch of values, but those are some of the things we think about. So we'll make an expert, and we're going to actually do a lot more of that on what the blood tells us. So we're going to actually do just a specific webinar to that effect over here, but this is just a little preview to that.
Great. And Praveen can take it away.
So measuring your blood pressure, that's a question is that who should have a blood pressure machine? When you go to a hospital, they measure vital signs, and that includes blood pressure. So my thinking is that most Canadians, up to 80%, will develop hypertension over a lifetime. So everybody should have their own machine at some point in time. So just think about that. I'll just be quiet for a little bit.
Praveen's mic might not be working. Praveen, you might want to jump out and jump back in. That's
so in the meantime, while Praveen's getting ready, learning how to measure blood pressure, we have a series of videos on that to look at that. Blood pressure fluctuates quite a bit. It goes up and down, so you need to do a series of blood pressure measurements when you're in a relaxed state on a regular basis, appropriate stuff. And remember is that if you stand up or move in different positions, your blood pressure can change. So one interesting thing is that if you have a standing or changing blood pressure, that can be important too as well. So if you're dizzy when you stand up, measure your blood pressure standing up in those circumstances. And are we losing ourselves in some way, or are we reloading?
No, we're okay. We're just reloading. Praveen will be joining us. He's going to be going over some important steps to remember, as Doctor was just alluding to, whenever you're measuring your blood pressure, to make sure that you're getting the most accurate reading. One thing that I think Doctor is probably going to suggest at some point is the importance of measuring it before your appointments. Too often, it seems, whenever we call, they'll say that they're measuring it right at the moment, and that's not obviously a good time to do it. One, because you're only probably going to get one reading. The issue with that is that the first reading is more or less a calibration. It's going to be the least accurate of the 3 that you want to take. So that's an issue right there. You obviously want to take the average of the second or third blood pressure reading. And another thing as well is, if we're calling you at this time, the odds are, and you might not even realize it, but your blood pressure might be a little higher than normal because you might be stressed out about a phone appointment with a physician, or you might be stressed out about something else that's happening. So it's important to take it at a point where you're relaxed, you're comfortable. For example, you haven't drinking coffee or anything 30 minutes before. Just basically minimizing anything that might conflict with the results to make sure that you're getting the most accurate reading. And to make sure that this is consistent, so every reading you do it the same way. So making sure you're not drinking coffee every single time, or else you're going to see a spike at some point, you might get concerned. So that's something that I just wanted to mention, and Praveen will probably go over that as well. Praveen, yeah. Can you hear us? Perfect.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Yeah, sorry guys for the technical issues, but unless Stuart has covered most of it, just to reiterate, it's really important to measure your blood pressure at home just because your readings might be different at the clinic than at home. And it gives you, I guess, a little more natural of the setting to measure blood pressure in. It also is really important, again, because having that at-home log gives like a long-term continuous glimpse of any sort of sudden changes that might not be able to be seen at the clinic, right? So it's really important to have that at-home log to make sure, again, how have you been responding to certain treatment changes or medications. So a very key study that was done in 2017 actually found that a 10 milligram per mercury drop in systolic pressure can lead to significant heart disease risk reduction. And this is really important because, again, there's so many different ways to manage your blood pressure, and there's a lot of resources out there, especially with the clinic, to, again, manage blood pressure, to manage hypertension. So it's really important to consider those when you are trying to lower your own blood pressure. And again, logging is a key way to track that. So, I mean, the first thing that you might want to consider when you're thinking about blood pressure monitoring at home is buying a blood pressure monitor. So there's a lot of things that you might want to consider. The first thing is the actual monitor itself. So as you can see on the image in the slide, there's actually these certified checkmark type of things that basically can tell you that this blood pressure monitor that you're looking at is accredited by Hypertension Canada. Also at www.hypertension.ca, there's a list of recommended monitors that you can actually purchase that all have this stamp of approval per se, and that's for the monitor itself. You can also buy the cup, and the cup is really important because you need to get one that's important or that's relative to your arm size. You want it to fit properly, fit snug, but also not be too tight. So again, we can help you with figuring out a proper size for your cuff at the clinic, or you can always consult us about that. And yeah, there's a lot of resources online and at the clinic to help you find a blood pressure monitor that's proper for you. So the next thing to really keep in mind is logging. Now, it's really easy to think that logging is something that you can kind of do mentally, and a lot of people might think that you can measure blood pressure and just kind of have a mental image of what your blood pressure is at certain times of the day. But logging gives you more of a systematic way to kind of look at your blood pressure throughout certain times of the day even, and just be more specific with things. You can also use a log to kind of input comments, such as certain medications you were taking or certain things that happened. Maybe you had a cardiac event, maybe you had something like an irregular heartbeat when you woke up, right? Those are things to also kind of associate with blood pressure that you might want to comment on. So the way that you can see on the slide right now, there's an image of a standard log. Usually you would include the day and then the time that you measure at. In terms of how frequent you want to log your blood pressure or take your blood pressure, usually 3 times a week is fine, but if you are at high risk or have heart problems, measuring twice a day is really ideal. So once you have that down, you can also have a place to enter your systolic and diastolic your blood pressures. And on a blood pressure monitor, it's usually going to show you the systolic and diastolic separately. So make sure to be able to differentiate between those two, and then also a place to enter your heart rate, because that's also a very important vital sign. And then finally, we have comments, again, as I iterated before, to mention any sort of key changes or symptoms of interest that you've seen associated with those blood pressures. So in terms of blood pressure guidelines, now this is just something to keep in mind when you're looking at it on a daily basis. You ideally want to have your systolic and diastolic blood pressure respectively be around 120 to 80 or below. Once you get a little higher than that, that's when you might want to start looking into management techniques that we can definitely help you out with at the clinic. And again, the main thing is that when you are below that 120 to 80 or 120-80 blood pressure, you can kind of see that you're in the healthy zone. And then when you're above, it's starting to get a little high, and there might be other things that you could do or interventions that you can have in place, whether that be with your lifestyle or certain medications to help you out with that. So now we're going to go more into specifics about blood pressure measuring. So there's a lot of do's and don'ts when you're actually measuring your blood pressure. And this can actually be very important, because if you don't measure your blood pressure properly, there's not really a point of measuring your blood pressure because it's not accurate, right? So again, having these kind of in your head and being mindful of these tips is really important. So you want to sit quietly while you're doing this, not be in an agitated sort of state of mind. You want to be relaxed and have your feet flat on the floor and keeping your arms supported, just being in that relaxed position. And then the way that you want to actually do it is take your blood pressure 3 times. And the reason why we say this is because the first time might give you inaccurate readings and you want to drop that. So then the second and the third time might be a little more consistent and you can average those out. So that's why you want to take it more than once, ideally 3 times, to kind of get a good glimpse at what your blood pressure is from a more consistent perspective. Now, when we look at don'ts, there's a lot of don'ts as well. Well, the most important one I personally think is kind of what you're eating and what you're taking into your body before you take your blood pressure. So I think that although it's really hard, and I know that for a lot of us, we can't always control like what we're eating at certain points in the day, taking that extra step can really help us get really accurate blood pressure results. If you can avoid consumption of things such as caffeine, alcohol, tobacco, just even like I think 30 minutes to an hour beforehand would be even great, right? Just having that out of your system before you're taking your blood pressure can give you a little more accurate of results, because you're always, those are kind of like that's not, again, replicating that natural setting, right? And you don't want to have something that's too high or too stimulated, which things like caffeine can do. So the second thing is that your cuff should not be over clothing. So this is kind of just a standard way of measuring your blood pressure. So as you can see on, I don't know if Stuart was doing that on purpose, but yeah, you want to roll up your sleeve in a way that you can put the cuff on your arm without having it touch clothing. And then you also want to avoid exercising. Again, that's similar to the thing about avoiding consumption of caffeine and alcohol, just keeping more of a naturalistic setting, right? And then also using an old machine wouldn't be ideal. So again, having your machine updated, and again, having a proper machine is also something that, again, as we talked about, can really impact your results. And then finally, the cuff. And again, I mentioned this before as well, but making sure your cuff kind of fits snug on your arm. A lot of the time, it might not fit, like, especially even at the clinic, the ones that we provide, we sometimes have to change the cuff itself to fit someone's arm. So having the right cuff size is really also important. So you want to make sure that it's not too loose or too tight.
So a couple other things, if you just go back one more space there, is that your arm needs to be supported and needs to be at heart level. And so for many people, your kitchen table is a great place. Your feet have to be on the ground and need to be relaxed. So if you're mad, upset, your blood pressure is going to go up. Your pain is going to go up. You mentioned things like caffeine, and you shouldn't have a drink for about a half an hour beforehand. So really important to measure blood pressure in a relaxed environment. That's how blood pressure is to be measured. So when you're in the emergency room, your blood pressure can be over 200 just because of the stress of being in the emergency room. And then in some studies, that's actually a very good thing. Blood pressure variability and blood pressure will fluctuate. Now, I will say this, there is something called an ambulatory blood pressure machine, and that gives really important information. We sometimes put this on overnight for 24 hours. It gives you an average daytime and nighttime average. That's important information. Home blood pressure is extremely important, and the office blood pressure is the least important of all the 3 measurements.
Another thing that is kind of interesting, I'm not sure how this app is pronounced, Anura, Anura. However, what it is it's an interesting app which you can download on your phone or your tablet. And what it does is it scans your face and it gives you a reading of what your blood pressure is. Now, this is a little video clip that we've shown in the past. This is Paul. He has been involved in our clinic for many, many years now. What he did was he scanned his face, and you'll see that what it does is it takes a few seconds to calibrate, and then what it's going to do is it's going to go all around the face, so it takes a few minutes or a few seconds. You have to be quite still. But you'll see that his results were 126/74. And what he did was he took a subsequent blood pressure reading on one of our actual blood pressure machines, to which he got 123/83. So is this by any means going to replace a typical blood pressure cuff? Absolutely not. Is this something that has been standardized or regulated? Not to this point. But with that said, it's definitely something interesting and potentially convenient for when you're on the go and you want to check your blood pressure. So you'll see right here that it's analyzing his data, and boom, you have his reading. So So it's similar in this sense to the actual blood pressure reading he measured at the clinic. However, we want you to remember to take this information with a grain of salt. It's certainly not something we want you to use to replace your actual blood pressure machine, just something that might be convenient to use, maybe something to look out for in the near future. We'll move on to the next slide here. And on the next slide, we have a reminder of one of our videos we recently created. Jenny, who has been leading Sugar Club, has recently transitioned into helping lead a mini-series on hypertension and blood pressure. So we recently posted a video called Should I Have a Blood Pressure Machine? It's a great video. It's about 12 to 14 minutes long. And what it does is it tells you everything you need to know about how to measure your blood pressure, the benefits of reducing your blood pressure, as Praveen talked about. And it talks about a DASH diet, which is a diet that's centered around reducing your blood pressure. It's a really, really interesting and fantastic, perfectly well done video, if you ask me. And to answer the question, I don't like to spoil movies or anything, but I will spoil the answer for this one. Should you have a blood pressure machine? You absolutely should. As we've talked about, making sure that you're measuring your blood pressure at least 3 times a week. However, if you have more severe concerns, it's a good idea to measure it every day, at least twice a day. And as Praveen talked about, it's important to keep an active log and bring this into the clinic or tell us whenever we call you so that we can monitor your blood pressure and put it into our system so we can keep an eye on it in the long term. It's a great video. The link is in the description, so please check that out. It'll only take you a few minutes, and it's really a fast, fantastic video on everything you need to know about blood pressure. Another thing that's good to measure before you come into the clinic or before your call is your body mass index, or your BMI. So with this, what you need is you need to know your weight in kilograms, as well as your height in meters. And you can throw this into a system on the computer, or you can actually use a calculator. What you need to do is you need to take your weight over your height squared, or your weight over your height times your height, and this will give you a number. Now, you'll see right here that this is the standardized chart for body mass index for adults. It says here that, anything over 30 would be considered obese. Anything within the range of 25 to 30 is considered overweight. And anything between 18.5 to 25 is considered a normal body mass index. So we encourage you to, at the very least, know your height and your weight so that we can put this into our system and keep an eye on your body mass index. The reason why this is important is for a number of reasons. But for one, there was a recent study which showed the potential correlation between body mass index and risk of developing COVID-19. In this study, which we found of nearly 17,000 patients who were in the hospital for COVID-19, they discovered that a total of 29% were considered the overweight category between 25 to 30 body mass index, and 30 and above body mass index, about 48% of people who were hospitalized. Now, the main findings from this study, and you'll see them right here, is that as the body mass index increases, the number of hospitalizations within that group increased. So the risks of developing COVID-19 for someone who is considered overweight, according to body mass index standards, is significantly higher than the normal weight. And it's tremendously, almost exponentially higher in the category of those considered obese, stage 1 or stage 2 obesity. So the main thing that you want to take here is that the more you weigh, or the higher your body mass index, the greater your body is exposed or immunocompromised, and it's more greater risk, or a greater risk factor of developing COVID-19. I know that this is something that's obviously very concerning for many of us at this point in our life, and so making sure that you're constantly measuring your height and your weight, and focusing on weight management and weight reduction. We'll talk a little bit about a club that we're doing on weight management and how you can join us as well, because we want to help you reduce your weight or get to a weight that you're happy with. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on in our presentation as well. Dr. Curnew, did you want to add anything to this one?
So remember is that I want people to aim for body mass index ideal between 20 and 25. That's tough. I'm now in that category. It took me 61 years to get there. I lose it, I gain back again. And this just says is that the more you're overweight, the more likely you're going to have infection, cancer, heart disease, stroke, depression, osteoarthritis, joint replacement. So I know it's hard. The vast majority of Canadians are overweight. And it's time we start to figure a way of dealing with this over here. So this trial tells you, if you don't want to be hospitalized for infections such as COVID-19, one way is not to be overweight. I know this is a hard bar to make, but that's the bar. So remember, body mass index between 20 and 25 is the goal for most of us. Tough goal, but I can do it, you can do it.
All right, so now we're going to get into something a little different. Shift our gears to hospitalizations. So during follow-ups and during consults, we often ask even the volunteers about recent hospitalizations, and sometimes you guys might have knowledge of it, sometimes we can also check our records to see, but it's really important that you do kind of have an understanding of your recent hospitalizations and let us know during your appointment. This is especially important to consider because we don't have access to records outside of the Greater Hamilton area, so if you did have a hospital visits outside of that area, we most likely won't be able to know about it unless you tell us, right? So you should probably note down things such as why you went to the hospital, the dates you were admitted, discharges, medications that you were prescribed after the visit, if you had any tests done during or after the visit, and like basically how you've been feeling, right? And this comprehensive overview of like the hospitalizations that you've had in between or even before your first appointment, it can really go a long way in helping us kind of understand other things about your medical history. So it's really important to have that in mind as well. So now we're going to get into medications. So medication, basically having a list of your medications is really important. And I'm saying a lot of things are important to keep in mind. It might be overwhelming, but just like having these things can make just the entire experience, or just like getting the communication aspect really easy between all of us. So having this is really important, as I mentioned. So just having a list with you, and having that with you also means that having it during a phone appointment, you should have it like handy, ready for you to talk about, right in sort of some physical presence near you. So so we're going to go into what our medications, what we want to know about our medications. So the first thing is definitely the name, the purpose. For example, if you're taking it for hypertension, or you're taking it for lipid levels, again, just having that purpose down. You can also find all of this on the labels, probably. If you look at the picture on the right, there's actually a little diagram where everything is. So you're going to also have a dosage. And here the dosage is on the very bottom. So it says amoxicillin 500 milligram capsules. So you can see that there. And also the pharmacy address, the phone number, all that contact information. You will also be able to see what doctor prescribed it and when you were prescribed it. So that's also something to keep in mind.
So it's interesting, for our system to work, is that we want the fax number. We're going to fax a prescription to your pharmacist. We don't want to call your pharmacist, we're going to fax it. So if you give us the address, or if you know the fax number, and if you wear glasses, wear your glasses so you can actually read. If you need a hearing aid, wear your hearing aid so we can actually talk to you. We're going and make sure, like, as we point out over here, know how many pills you have left. And there's a phenomenally good video that Maria and her team made about prescriptions. And so we got lots to talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah. So with regards to prescription refills, it's really helpful if you're proactive about them. So one key thing is that if you're able to tell us when you need a refill, it'll make it easier for us to organize that. And why that is because let's say that you have multiple medications that you're taking. It's really ideal if you can refill them at similar points in time, just so that you don't have to keep a track of like certain refills at different points in time. So if you could do that all in like one day, for example, and have them refilled on the same day every single time, depending on how often you're going to refill them. But that would be very helpful for your organization. So that's also pretty important to inform us about. So now we're going to go into why this is really important. And so as you can see in the statistic on the slide, unfortunately, estimated deaths due to medication errors each year in Canada is around 28,000, and that's quite a bit of people for something that can be preventable. So we really want to help you guys just kind of keep that into consideration. Without an updated medication list, there's a lot of bad things that can happen. And I'm sure Dr. Curnew is going to talk about this a little more, but whether it's about harmful interactions or improper dosage, again, what Dr. Curnew prescribes is based on, again, what he's seen in your past medical records, what you've already been taking, right? So if you don't give a clear picture of that, it can really impact, I guess, the clinical decision making and how that affects your future treatment and future medications. So it's really important to have, again, an updated list of medications because it does statistically lead to a lot of adverse outcomes.
So 28,000 people die in Canada per year from medication errors is an estimate. That's a lot. And if you keep saying my medications hasn't changed, the pharmacist will contact you when I need a prescription renewal. I gave it to you last time. You're asking to be a medical error. And, you know, we're all going to make mistakes, but the best thing is to always cross-reference, cross-check. So please, 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 always keep an updated list of medications in your wallet, in your purse, on your phone, any way you can, and make sure you understand when you're going to need a prescription renewal. You don't call the tow truck when you have a flat tire. You don't want to be waiting there. So every day we're asked to fill in prescription renewals when people have ran out of medications. That shouldn't happen. I know it's going to happen from time to time, but it should not happen on a regular basis. So you need to be part of the solution versus part of the problem. If you want to be one of those 28,000 people that die, I don't want you to be there. We spend a lot of time. I've seen people get angry at me for going over medications. And our students spend a lot of time figuring this out because if you look at medical records, they're usually wrong. So let's fix everything. And we're spending a long time. Let's work together on this.
Yeah. So before we get into that, one thing that really I want to iterate is that like having it somewhere accessible can really help. And instead of having the idea that like on the day of your appointment you're gonna like look around for the medication list, why not have it somewhere in your wallet or somewhere that you always kind of have it ready for pickup or just to show it to Dr. Curnew and anyone at the clinic, right? So having accessible is also key. So when we're looking at medication lists, here are a few examples of how patients can do it or how you guys can do it. And you can see two examples here. The first one on the left is more of like a handwritten one, and the right one is more typed up and printed out. But we can see that both lists are both effective because they can tell you the name, the dosage, how often you're going to take it, who prescribed it, and again, the reason. And those are kind of like the facets that we talked about a few slides ago. Those are the key information that we want to keep. Also having things such as refilling information, when was your last refill, how it looks like even. If you want to take a picture, if you can see the right picture, you can actually see pictures of the pills that are associated with each of the medications. And again, lots of people might find this easy to kind of like visually pinpoint. So having that can kind of serve as a guide as well. So that's great. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give people 100 pills at a time with 3 repeats. So that will take you for over a year. Now, in Ontario, when you start a brand new pill, the pharmacist gives you 30 days as initial prescription just to make sure that you're not developing a side effect. But if you're taking a chronic medication, my pattern is to try to give you 100 pills with 3 repeats. So you have enough for over a year. Every doctor does things differently. That's how I like to practice medicine. And as was pointed out, is that I'm trying to get all the medications renewed at the same time as much as we can. So I think it's a great idea. Thank you for bringing that part in. And so let's work on that. So please know when you're going to be running out.
Yeah. So, and this is a recent video that we have on our channel about prescription renewals and medications. It really focuses on, again, renewals and the cost of medications, and again, just who you're working with, whether it be your pharmacist or the rest of your healthcare team, to kind of organize that and have that ready, and kind of be a little more confident about the medications that you are taking and how you are knowledgeable about them. So definitely take a look at that. So This is just a slide with a few phone apps that you can use. Again, one thing that I did mention was accessibility is something I think might really help you kind of have medication lists on you at all times, or even at least when you need them. So having a phone app, if you guys do have access to a phone that can download these apps, would be great. Basically, they all do the same thing for the most part. They might have a little bit of variance in their features, but at the end of the day, they'll kind of have the same things where you can enter the type of medications, the dosage, and for example, who prescribed it, just having notes on that on your phone. So you can also have alarms on these, which are great, just having reminders on your phone automatically appear. So if you often forget to take medications, that might be really helpful. And then another idea, if you don't have access to a phone, is maybe to put a reminder note on your washroom mirror. Again, targeting that approach of just having these things like in everyday places and accessible places, having a reminder note on your washroom mirror, like every day you'll see that and kind of it'll be drilled into your head when you need to take your medication. So if you are a forgetful person, or just even have a lot of trouble managing a lot of medications in general, these phone apps or even just that tip can really help.
Along the line of conversation on phone apps, one thing that our team is working on is introducing a clinic app. So this will be in the name of our office, Dr. Curnew, and essentially our main focus with this is so that you can get appointment reminders so that you don't forget, so that you can manage your medications within the app all in one place. And what we also encourage you to do once you download this app in the future is to share your account with other family members or people who can help you to organize your medications or remind you of your appointments or medications so that you don't forget. Praveen talked about obviously a lot of us might have a number of medications or we might be busy and we might forget. Of course, medications are not insignificant. They're prescribed to you for an important reason, and so it's important to try and stay on top of these things. So certainly something to look out for. Once this app is ready and available, I'm sure you will hear Dr. Curnew screaming from the masses. You will know when this app is ready. But in the meantime, just certainly something to look out for. It's something we're working on, and we're really excited about how this might be able to help you manage your appointments and your medications a lot easier. Now, another conversation about trying to stay organized is a good idea would be to prepare a journal, or to come to the clinic or your phone consult with a list of questions that you want to ask Dr. Curnew. So within this journal, it's important to have a lot of the things we talked about today, updates on your blood pressure readings, your weight, your body mass index. It's important to have a list of all your medications on this, any questions you may have to Dr. Curnew, and all questions are really important. So we want to ensure that when your appointment is done, all your questions and your concerns have been answered. And if these questions or concerns have not been answered, then your appointment shouldn't be done. We want you to ask these things, and we want to be able to help you. So sometimes you might forget when we start talking to you. So making sure that you're potentially preparing this before we give you a call is important, so that you're not forgetting something once you hang up the phone or once you leave our office. We have an image right here. This is a journal that Dr. Curnew and I made. This is Dr. Curnew's right here. He indicated his blood pressure, his weight. He had a list right here indicating the questions he had from his blood work. So he wanted to talk about, what does LDL mean? What does 0.5 mean? Is that good? Is that bad? I noticed it was red. It was out of the normal range. Is that good? Is that bad? So this is an important way to remember, I have blood work questions and I want to make sure that they're answered. Here as well, the pharmacy address so that we can send faxes. We can send the medications there so that you can get your refills. He's got his list of medications and he's got his questions for Dr. Curnew. Some other things that you can also consider adding is any lifestyle or SMART goals that you have, any recent hospitalizations that are important for us to know, if you are diabetic or are managing your blood glucose levels, a record of what your most recent numbers have looked like. You can ask us, okay, I'm having trouble navigating YouTube, can you please help me? To which our volunteers would love to be able to help you out. And also, we're constantly looking for new webinar ideas, so if there's something that we haven't covered that you want us to talk about, we'd love to hear that as well. If you want to learn a little bit more, we recently posted a video, how to better prepare for your appointment, where Dr. Curnew talks a little bit about this, this journal idea and how you can keep a consistent and organized journal for all of your appointments. You can certainly check that out. The link is also in the description, so it's very easy for you to find as well. And next, we'll briefly talk about if you're a first-time patient coming in for your consult, what you can expect with your first appointment with Dr. Curnew. Praveen will be taking on this slide, and then we'll be talking about what to expect for your phone consults.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just to give a little background information about your consults. This is again your first appointment, so we're going to be taking a little longer, asking a little more in-depth questions about your past history, just because we don't have that on record yet. So basically, when we do ask you again, chronic conditions, medications, previous hospitalizations, family history, and your lifestyle, those kind of cover what we're going to ask you, and basically, it's really important, again, to have an understanding of this. For example, your previous hospitalizations, right? We kind of mentioned that before. Just having an understanding of it can kind of direct how Dr. Curnew will manage your treatment for the future. So having that is really important. So, oh, sorry, Stuart, are you going to take this?
Sure, yeah, it's great. So
Yeah, okay.
For those who have been to our clinic before who are having a follow-up, so chances are these days it might be a phone appointment. And things are obviously looking a little bit different right now with the pandemic. So for those who haven't had their first phone appointment or want to learn a little bit more about how we're doing it, this slide is certainly for you. So what you can expect come the day of your appointment, you're going to receive a call around or even a little bit before your actual scheduled appointment time. And this first call is oftentimes going to be a number that you might not actually recognize. This is one of our volunteers calling you to check in, go over all of the things we've talked about today, any cardiac symptoms you may be experiencing. We want to know about your weight and your blood pressure. Have there been any changes to your medications? It's essentially very similar to what your experience would have been like in the clinic, except it's over the phone. So you'll be seeing a volunteer first, and then once all this information is up to date, you can expect a call from Dr. Curnew sometime throughout the rest of the day to check in, follow up on everything we discussed. And as Dr. Curnew talked a little bit earlier, he is the repairman. So you might expect a call within a certain window of time, but he will get to you. Every patient he takes his time with, and it's obviously a little bit different these days, working the phones as well. So sometimes they can push us a little bit back, but we will get to you throughout the day. As we mentioned, there's a window of opportunity, and we'll get to your call, and we'll address all your concerns. So that's a little bit about how our phone consults and phone appointments have been working and will likely continue to work for the potentially foreseeable future. Now, with that said, I do want to introduce something called Medio. Now, Medio is something that we might try or will be trying to navigate towards sometime in the future. What's interesting about Medio is instead of doing the phone appointments, we might be able to schedule a video appointment with you so that you'll be able to see us and we'll be able to see you. Very quickly, what is Medio? Well, this is basically the new way to talk to your doctor. Essentially, what you will be receiving is a notification from us, which will indicate that you have an appointment scheduled for Dr. Curnew at a certain window of time. What you would have to do is you would just simply go in the wait room, and then Dr. Curnew will address or jump into your call whenever he's ready. So what you would get is you'd receive an invitation from Dr. Curnew. You would simply have to open up the email invitation. You would accept the appointment in Medio and create an account. Once you have created this account, simply asking for your email address, your password, your first and last name, so we know which patient is which. Then you'll be able to speak with us on our team once you've confirmed your account. So you will actually receive a verification notification in your emails to say that your account has been registered, your account has been made. This may potentially go into your junk or spam folder, or even your promotions folder if you're using Gmail. So if you don't receive a notification right away, it's a good idea to check those areas right there. And essentially what you would do is you would be expecting a video call with Dr. Curnew some point within a certain timeline, as we mentioned. So this would be potentially something that we would work around in terms of keeping that face-to-face communication, which many patients may be missing at this time when they're doing the phone appointments. So this is something to potentially look out for in the future. Not sure if or when we will be introducing Medio, but it is something that is available and that is trying to work around the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now,
So, kind of interesting about the software to us right now is that means that you need to have an email address and you need to actually have a camera, and we have a camera too as well. The problem is bandwidth for us right now is that it requires a lot of bandwidth, and we have already a problem with bandwidth in our building here. So we're gonna keep working with this, and it's a wave of the future. There's other softwares we'll be looking at too as well. What I do like about this software here is that there is we can actually look at each other in the eye. It actually integrates into our EMR called Accuro. It also allows us to email you information. So right now we're emailing lab requisition forms. Potentially in the future, if we ever master all this, we might be able to email you blood results. But right now I'm encouraging you to go online and get all your blood results. It's a richer pool that you can get from Life Labs and Dynacare. And booking appointments potentially too as well. So you can see a lot has changed, and what this medical situation has caused is I learned is that I've become healthier, I've become closer, we become a better family, and we're working closer together. And so this is one new technology that we're exploring, we're working with. We haven't worked out all the bugs yet, but we're getting better at this. So this is something of the future. We have some problems to solve about this, but I'm very confident that we're going to have our version of this in the near future, and get all these smart young people here to help us.
so now is a good opportunity here. You can see the prompt. We want you to take a moment to consider what aspect of your health you want to work on today. You might have heard of this before in some of our previous videos. We often advocate for something known as a SMART goal. We'll get to that in just a moment. Before we do that, I want to introduce you to something else that we're offering here at the clinic. This right here is DaVinci. This was taken yesterday in the clinic. DaVinci is a project student with us, and she is responsible for leading a weight management club. Now, this team meets every Tuesday at 7 p.m. And what she offers is helping you, either in a group or with a one-on-one consultation, to help you manage your health and help you get on track, help you establish your goals, and really work with you so you can try and reach them. It's a really great thing that she's doing. DaVinci is probably one of the nicest people that you'll probably ever come across. Very sweet, very kind, and she really genuinely wants to help you. So if this is something that interests you, please send us a message at drcurnew232@gmail.com. You can also call our main office as well, and we will be able to relay the message to DaVinci to be able to work this into her schedule, and she'll be able to get in touch with you. All she needs is your email address, which you will be providing to us. Here you'll see some screenshots of a recent email that DaVinci sent to all of the members on the Weight Management Club. You can see right here that this is access to the Zoom link, because all the meetings take place over Zoom at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays. And there's also a ton of really great resources that are available to you when you sign up for the club. You can see right here that recent themes have touched upon simple strategies you can do to reduce stress-related overeating and nighttime eating. I think that's a challenge for many of us. This is something that DaVinci has been really working on with many of the patients in the club recently. There's a number of great resources as well. You can see right here that we provided a website to help you calculate your daily caloric intake and what would be a good daily caloric intake for your weight, for your size. And so there's also a number of links right here as well. These are Google Docs, which you will have access to, which contains some really great recipes for soups, smoothies, and also one of the recent webinars that many of you joined us on for talking about soups and smoothies with Chad, who's a patient of ours and who's been very helpful as well in leading some of our webinars. And he'll be leading one next week as well on an entire vegetarian diet and everything he eats in a week and how to stay healthy with your diet. So if this is something that interests you, again, please send us an email, drcurnew232@gmail.com. We'll be able to get in touch with you, and you'll be able to get access to all of these really, really great resources that we want to share with you. You'll see right here as well, we've made a little mini series right here of so many great videos that we have on our YouTube page, or in the world of YouTube in general. So you can see right here many of the weight management videos that we've created. You can simply find all in one place. You can see right here that we'll provide you with a list of resources for getting some good workouts, and also some great recipes and great websites to find great healthy recipes for you. So again, this is something that we're doing to help you in a safe manner now that the pandemic is in order and we can't meet in person. This is one way that we're working around it. You know, just because circumstances change doesn't mean your goals have to, and we're here to help you.
So this is one of many clubs that we have available, but during the pandemic, we really put a strong emphasis on weight management. We also, and on smoking cessation. So we have Winnie that will contact you about smoking. Devanshi has a team of people working with her. We have Jenny working on in Sugar Club Diabetes. We have a whole team of, literally 50 people plus that are here to help you, and they will support you. One of the things that if people really want to is that I can get one of my students to go over your medical letter and explain that to you, and then we can actually email it so you have a copy of that. So, but I only want to do that if you go over the record to make sure it's accurate, number one, and number two, you understand that. And we'll send you an ECG copy too as well. You never know when you're going to need an ECG to compare. So there's so many ways of being healthier, but it takes work on your part, takes work on our part. So we'll match the work, but you have to do some work as well. You have to be smart about this. Let's hear about some SMART goals.
So SMART goals, you might have heard of the term. SMART standing for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So the idea here is many times we have these big goals, but we don't know how to reach them, and sometimes you got to take baby steps. You got to learn how to walk before you can run. So on the right here, you'll see a great example of a SMART goal. One of the goals here is to limit the daily sugar intake to 30 grams. Or another SMART goal is to walk at least 1,000 steps, tracked on a pedometer, at least 5 days a week. So you can see 5 days here really takes into account the timely. For this person in particular, it must be something that is realistic for them, given their timeline and given their previous routines. It's something that's measurable. See that they want to do 10,000 steps, and it's specific. So they want to do it as a walk. They want to start at least as a walk. So you can see right here that this is a fantastic example of a SMART goal. I personally have my own. I know Dr. Curnew has many as well. He recently was working on the keto diet, which helped him reach the goals of where he wanted to be in terms of his weight and his body mass index. And I think if really the idea here is that if we can do it, you can do it. And it's important to keep these ideas in mind. You got to learn how to walk. Again, I'll say it again. You got to learn how to walk before you can run. Sometimes you got to take the baby steps before you can take the big ones. Doctor, do you want to add anything?
If you can't walk, crawl. So let's move forwards about this. We can all get healthier and better. Most of us have 80,000 thoughts that go through our mind today, most of them being bad. So we'll teach you how to reframe that, how to look at that, and don't be hard on yourself. Just move forward. So some days I'm good, some days I'm bad. I got to my goal weight of 165. I went up to 172. I'm now down to 168 again. So and I'm fighting, and I'll go forwards. And I'm not mad. I'm just measuring. I'm measuring my blood pressure. I'm measuring my weight. I'm measuring my cholesterol. And the Dr. Curnew and Greg Curnew are Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So we're all trying to get better. And some days I apologize. You can see my the wrong side of me, because what I'm seeing right now is that we're living through difficult times. And a famous cardiology, Dr. Brunwell, was giving a great talk. He's a guru of cardiology. And he says this pandemic reminds him of the Second World War where he grew up. And it's funny because I was talking to Stuart about this. I feel some days I feel like a sergeant, and I'm getting people to duck and pushing them down because those COVID bullets are coming to you. So those bullets are from cholesterol, blood pressure, heart disease. So sometimes I get angry because I want the best for you, and I don't sometimes feel you put the effort in. So I apologize for getting angry, but I don't want bad things to happen to you. So I'm going to try to redirect myself and be softer at times. But at times this is a time for action right now, and it's time to get healthier, and we can all do it. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish, with, especially with these young people. They enriched our lives, and they enriched my life, and they're enriching your life. So let them help, and let us all help together in some way. And that's all I have to say for now.
Perfect. Another thing that we want you to consider is sending us your well-being prescription. So this is your opportunity to create a SMART goal and share it with us. In the description of this video, you'll find it right below this video if you're on YouTube right now. You'll see a link to something known as the well-being prescription. Here, you'll be able to share with us what your goal is. So you can see right here, this is a screenshot of what it looks like. Your goal can be anything related to food, exercise, maintaining safe social connections right now. It could be even related to sleep or stress management. We want you to share with us what your long-term goal is and what your SMART goal is right now, so that you can achieve this goal in the long-term future. So again, please, if you're interested, sharing this with us, and also letting us know if you want somebody to help you stay on track, or if you want someone to help you work to help achieve this goal. What you'll do is you'll simply take a picture, or you can print this out and write on it and send it to drcurnew232@gmail.com. Whoever sends it to us within the next few days will be entered into a draw for the chance to win a free 30 Days to a Healthier You. Now, this is a book that Dr. Curnew and all his volunteers, long before I was here, have been working on for 20 to 30 years, which contains a number of fantastic recipes, ways of taking control of your health. And it's a really fun, interesting read. Normally it's $30 in the clinic, so if you ever come to the clinic and you want the book as well, $30, and all the proceeds go to a charity, or it could be a charity of your choice. So in that case, everybody wins. So please, if you're interested, take a look at the description of this video, and you'll be able to find this right there. And this right here is the YouTube page of the week to check out. Dr. Curnew mentioned to me yesterday that this is one of a fellow colleague of his, Dr. Mike Evans. Dr. Mike Evans runs a fantastic YouTube series where a lot of it, as you can see, is clip art images or draw my life videos. And it's really fantastic, very entertaining, and it really creates or makes a lot of the things that we've talked about in a lot of our videos, and it makes them really fun and interesting and engaging. So certainly a lot of topics in his channel that we haven't covered quite yet, and we absolutely encourage you to go take a look at it as well. It's fun to explore the world of YouTube. There's so many videos out there. It's not just our page that we encourage you to look at. There's many, many fantastic pages, and we'll continue to shine a light on some of these pages that we think are worth checking out. So that is the recommendation for the week. Again, it's Doc Mike Evans. You'll be able to find that, I guess, after you're done watching this video here. And we'll move on to the next slide. This is an important one. So we've talked about a lot of things today. Dr. Curnew always really encourages everyone to rewatch the videos, and the reason for that is because the brain can only retain so much. I think it can probably only retain about 10 to 15% of everything we talked about today. And so if you're anything like me, you'll forget some things. But that's okay. So what we've done is we've created a printout for you where it gives you everything that you need to remember before your visit, during your visit, and also you'll see when you go in the video, when you go and find it in the description, everything you need to think about for after. So before your visit, you want to think about blood pressure, your weight, your medications, how to access YouTube, and what videos you found interesting. During your visit, you want to let us know about your blood pressure, any changes to your medications, any recent hospitalizations, any questions you have. And after your visit, you're more than welcome to check out our YouTube page. You're more than welcome to sign up for our Weight Club management team. Join Winnie for smoking cessation if that is a concern for you. So there's many, many extracurricular things that we're running to help you manage your health. And it's all in one place. So I really, really encourage you to check the description of this video afterwards. You'll see this chart. You can take a picture, you can write it down, you can print it out if you have a printer, and you can keep this beside you whenever you have an appointment so you don't forget anything whenever we give you a call or whenever we see you in the clinic. Doctor, is there anything you want to add to that?
I just want to remember to, as you leave your appointment, is your follow-up being booked? Knowing that we're going to see you and be contact you next. What tests are we going to be doing? And you have all the medications that you need. And so just remember is that being healthy takes a lot of work, and knowing where you're going and having a clear pathway and working together makes sense. So I never want to hear, I told you that last time. Surely you must know. It's in your file. The answer is no news is no news, so let's work together. And here are some suggestions how we can actually make this interaction a much healthier interaction, a better interaction. The basis to good health is lifestyle changes, appropriate medications, and testing when appropriate. And knowing where you're going to go afterwards is really important too as well. Anything else anybody wants to add?
I think we're close to the wrap up. So, as Dr. Curnew mentioned, there's a lot of things we discussed today. And if you ever have any questions or anything you want to ask or bring up to us, we're very accessible. You can reach us by the main office, but specifically, you can always email us at drcurnew232@gmail.com. We're also going to be continuing to work and develop our website, so please feel free to check out the www.drcurnew.com website as we continue to add more and more things to keep you up to date on everything that's going on at the clinic. And of course, if you found this video, that means you've done a great job. You're on YouTube, but if you ever need a reminder, all you need to do is type in Greg Curnew or Dr. Curnew into the YouTube page, and you'll be able to see our profile where we have over 161 videos now of all the different ways that you can manage your health. Some videos are more important to you than others, and that's okay. We've organized it very clearly for you, and we're also going to be making a YouTube video, another YouTube video in the near future, showing you how to navigate our YouTube page so it's very easy for you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all the presenters for today. Fantastic. It's a great job. Lots of things to absorb, and I also want to thank you, our patients, for letting us help you in your road to better health. To me, is that health is an evolution. I'm always trying to get better in so many ways. It's a pleasure to serve. What I like about our clinic, it's accessible, it has free parking, it has caring people. We can do most of the cardiovascular testing here that's important to your heart, and then we can actually look at that and discuss that with you. We made this safe at this point in time, and we're trying to limit the amount of people in the clinic right now, but I look forward to hugs and handshakes in the future. But right now is that we're going to blend the best of technology from phone and to video conferencing, the appropriate test at the right time with the inpatient clinic. So you can't manage everything by the phone. You can't manage it, but you can make it certainly more convenient and better. There's more mistakes to be made by the phone, and we're going to use more video conferencing, but we need you to work together and surround yourselves with your bubble, with your people that make you healthier. And let's be healthier together, and I want to wish everybody a great evening. Stuart, are there any questions or comments from the chats there at all?
We did have one question. You addressed it, but it's good to bring it up again. Some patients were wondering how they can access their chart records and have all that information accessible to them.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to get their records, what I do is I would just email us at drcurnew232@gmail.com, or let us know that's what you want to do. And we'll schedule you a time, probably about a half an hour or so, with one of our students to go over your record in detail. So what you have to have is all the right information, and we'll set that up. So it won't be during your appointment, but we'll set other times. I'll remind people that we're trying to start early in the morning, finish late at night. We think about evening appointments for those that happen, and actually weekend clinics from time to time. So we're trying to make it as convenient as we possibly can for you. And so we're looking at all options. And please give us feedback. We're here to serve you and how we can help you the most. To me, it's been a great journey for over 30 years, and the next 30 years promises to be even better, I hope. As I learned, is that the maximum longevity is around 120 years of age. I figure if all goes well, I'll retire on my 100th birthday party, and then I'll retire for other things afterwards. But how long I can make it for, I don't know, but I have no plans on slowing down. And as long as I can keep serving and make a difference, then I'd be glad to. I want to thank all our students and all our patients and all our staff for making this a fantastic place to improve your cardiovascular health.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. Be safe. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.